Hi there, lovely book people. We are going to talk about Carnegie's Maid, which is a historical fiction set in the industrial times in America in 1860s when an Irish immigrant named Clara Kelly finds her way to America and takes on a different identity to find her employment as a lady's maid in the home of the very prominent and well-known businessman named Andrew Carnegie. I wanted to read this book because of all the fantastic things I heard about this author's first book, The Other Einstein, which came out last year. And I can definitely see why people rave about her writing style so much. It's very good. I love that the author didn't write at least 100 pages of introductory background on the main character. We get a couple of sentences explaining why Clara is on that journey, what she is doing, and what she hopes to get from doing it, and why she is alone. But that is it. And I don't need more because that is not what this book is supposed to be about. So it was great to see an author actually do that in a historical fiction and not go overboard with the background until the story actually goes where it says it is supposed to be about. And that was really nice to see. The writing itself continues to be that way throughout the entire book as well, which is fantastic to see an author being able to keep the pacing, keep the tone, keep the writing style the same but not boring. It's always on target. It keeps the story moving. It doesn't get stuck on a point that gets repeated over and over and talked about endlessly, but instead the story keeps moving and keeping a pace that kind of makes the length of the book work perfectly. A handful of things went a bit overboard. For example, I found it a bit overly convenient and the same ship there is not only one girl named Clara Kelly but two, and that coincidentally one of them gets killed on the way over, which by the way is not a spoiler because it says so on the back of the book. That is not something that I personally enjoy because that is just a lot of things I have to simply believe that would happen, and I don't enjoy that. I also found it really unrealistic how easy Clara manages to become this perfect lady maid. This Clara that we are following along is a farmer's daughter in Ireland. She's a poor girl. She got basic schooling, but that is it. She can read, she can write, but only in very basic terms. She learns be a perfect lady's maid from reading a couple of pages of a book that tells you how to behave as a lady's maid, and that is it, and that is how she became perfect. The other Claire, whose identity she took on, went to schooling. She was educated on becoming a lady's maid in America, so to be the maid of the Carnegies, to know what they want and what they expect. And Clara just reads a couple of pages in a book and suddenly she knows everything there is to know to be the perfect maid. That was just a bit too much for me, and I think that the author could have made the book better if she made that a bit more realistic, a bit more of a learning curve. I know it's just one of those smaller details in the overall story, but because they're the smaller moments and they keep consistent throughout the story, it was just something that I kept noticing and bothering me throughout the entire story. And even though I just complain about this book quite a bit, I still think it's a good book and it's definitely worth a read if you enjoy the slightly over the top historical fiction romance that takes the story a tiny bit too far in the not really realistic aspects. But if you don't mind that, if you enjoy historical fiction simply because of the setting and you don't mind the details are not perfect, then I definitely recommend this book. I would love to hear if you found this review helpful, and if you did, please give it a thumbs up. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in my next video, and until then, have a great day. Bye!